Hi everybody, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Iron Crane Dojo. And we just wrapped up a class. There were a few questions, and I'm responding to some inquiries from some folks who had asked me about blocking techniques. And I'll just cut to the quick here. I can talk about blocking techniques all day long, and there's blocking techniques all over the internet. There's hard style blocks and soft style blocks. But what I want to do is share with you a set of blocks that I think will make a big difference in how you set up strategies within your own martial arts. And these blocks have been in use by the Iron Crane School for almost 4 decades and have really proven their worth. What I want to stress, though, is when we share them with you this afternoon, my object is not to impress you with my power or my speed. If I impressed you with my power or the speed, you wouldn't really see the blocks and gather a whole lot of inspiration from them. What I'm going to do is break them down into their simplest details so that you have something to look at and to think about and then to play with when you have a chance to incorporate these ideas into what you're doing. So I asked Sensei Chris Entis to help me out. And he's going to help me out by doing some of the basic attacks. But before we talk about the basic attacks, let's do this. Let's set up a common set of rules for practicing between the two partners who are working on the ideas. So Sensei Chris is my partner. He's the attacker. And he's going to go back in a right foot back position. And the only attack he's going to do, unless I instruct otherwise, is a right hand punch toward my head. Now, a right hand punch toward my head means he's aiming at this point, okay? He's not aiming at my throat or my chin or anywhere else. The objective here, when you set up any practice regimen between yourself and a partner, is to emphasize safety at first, at least until you master the basic concepts and you can apply them for real. But until you can apply them for real, you have to emphasize safety and control. And his position will be right foot back, and I'll be in a left foot back awareness position. Again, just being ready to respond. And we're going to show you these at several angles. Okay, so the first demonstration will be of the incoming right hand punch and the 9 blocking sequence which address all the potential open doors that an attacker has against you while you're trying to defend yourself. So the first one is a high punch, and he goes forward, and I execute my block, my high block. Now just hold your position there for a second. See, my high block is a strike that goes completely into my opponent and destroys his balance. There's many other types of high blocks. If he goes back and throws again, some people like to high block and break the arm. Or some people like to high block and deflect the arm, and all that's okay. But what I want is the person's balance destroyed as soon as I execute the block. And if I can, I like to use the block also to strike or impact the person. So when he comes forward, you can see that the way my block works to destroy an opponent's balance. Okay, so that's the first punch. Punch number 2, block number 2 comes in. There's a lateral move to the side. Okay. Now let's have a different view of this technique. He's here attacking from this line, and he comes forward, and you can see the angle of the block. Now what's nice about this is I'm completely outside the attacker, and I've got the ability to work different targets in the aftermath of the block. Number 3, back to the original position, if you will. He steps back. High block, followed by a low punch, low block. And this is learning to protect the inside or establish ownership of the inside. With block number 1, if he goes back, I'm half inside and half outside. So I have several options. I can go completely outside, or I can go completely inside. Block number 2 is completely outside the opponent. Block number 3 is mastering the inside. So he throws the high and throws the low, and I'm completely inside him with full ownership of all targets, okay? And you can sort of see the kind of leverage I have on him afterwards. Number 4 is also responding to a double punch. He throws, block high, block low. This time I'm outside on the opposite side of his body. Now the way these blocks work is you're putting torsion and torque on the opponent's body, so you're taking away their other moves. For example, you can't really sense this, but he's off balance, and all it takes to take him to the floor is a little bit of additional force, and that's the beauty of these concepts. Number 5 is a wipe. So he's here, he throws, there's the wipe. The beauty of the wipe is it opens up to other techniques instantly. Another view of the wipe is he's over here, throws, clear, down. You can see I can take him down just with a quick type slanting move. That's the wipe. Number 6 is the bird lands. He throws. Lots of people prefer this technique for opening up joint locks, for joint lock counters, joint lock attacks. Number 7 is 2 hands landing, the monkey on the tree. You can break balance, you can destroy balance. You can use this to go into arm bars, wrist locks, any other kind of technique you wish to use. It all sets up clean off of that sequence. Number 8 is to establish the inside game inspired by a single whip out of Tai Chi Chuan. Number 8. And you can see how explosive this is. If he comes from this direction, and I'm not trying to explode, the techniques have powers of their own. The geometry of the technique and the force vectors is extremely efficient. So he throws, and here comes number 8, boom. Okay, you can just see how the balance is completely destroyed by the technique. Number 9 is the X block, and just throw your right hand out if you will. X block. Many varieties of X block. It can be soft, hard. I prefer to do it relaxed. One thing you want to be aware of, though, is with the X block, it can take different shapes. And all those shapes will work just fine so long as you have the flow of water in your mind and you can attach continuity to your response. But what I suggest to people is this: until they master the X block, they always keep the right hand closest to the heart. So if you do it high, your right hand will be in this position. And if you do it low, your right hand will be in this position, still closer to your heart. And the reason I suggest that is because I don't want you thinking in the middle of a fight or self-defense situation which hand has to go where, on top, and when, under what circumstances. If you do it consistently every time, you won't have a split focus. You won't have the question in your mind of it should be this or this while you're being attacked. Always do it one way and always develop a set of responses that work off of that one way. So number 9, he throws, I'm in. Okay, you can see the effectiveness of that. I split him wide open. I've got targets, and I'm prepared to go. Number 9 again, I can also open to the outside. Arm bars, block, measures like that, leg attacks, they all become possible. Number 9, it's in, strikes, twist, blocks, eyes, targets, whatever you want. Okay? Thank you, Sensei Chris. So there we have an overview of the 9 blocks which we favor in the Iron Crane School. Now we do all the other blocks too. We do all the hard blocks. You've seen those. You've probably seen them in your own style, or you can see them on the internet. These blocks are slightly unique and off the mark from the average that you'll find out there, especially with the types of applications that these blocks set up. I hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to visit us in the future. Thank you.